Hey there, everybody. Jen here. I just wanted to come to you live quickly. A little bit of a cheeky video for you all. Cheeky in terms of energy because I wanted to keep this a little bit light because this topic can get a little heavy. Hey there, Rachel. Hello. If you are watching, say hello. Let me know. I'm on my phone so I can see people are watching, but I can't see really who sometimes. So do drop me a note. I wanted to speak to all of my light workers out there, all of my light beings, all of you who are working with the love and the light. And first of all, as a caveat, I am definitely a worker of the light. I work from love perspective, and I want to bring you this transmission from that love perspective because this is really important, everyone. I want to talk about why we are in avoidance of darkness. And why it's if you see me, I have like little notes just behind me. That's where I'm looking. I want to talk about why darkness, specifically our dark places, are really the key. They are the missing links that we are looking for. And I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a reframe of how we can start to work with darkness in a way that maybe makes sense from an aspect, from a heart-centered space. So the first thing that I really wanted to kind of just put out there, this is something that I remember had a conversation with a beautiful soul and colleague who works with intuitive business coaching. And we were talking a little bit about many different things. And, she was kind of like apologizing for the name of her group or community because it, it deals with the darkness stuff. And I'm like, I'm not afraid of darkness. I think this is something that collectively we fear these dark spaces and places in our being. They're not that bad. They're not as scary as we think we are. But we have, maybe it's a cultural dichotomy. You can look back at religion or many other things for thinking, good and bad and evil and all that kind of stuff. Darkness is not the same as evil. So I really wanted to dispel a few things because I know that there are spaces and places, and I didn't even think I would go here, but I'm going there now. So let's do it. If you work in the energy realm, you can, we talk about things like psychic attack and like all these things, entities taking you over and like evil and all of this stuff. And the interesting thing is, if we can just hold for a moment in our awareness that love is the most powerful energy there. And if we're working from a place of love, then we have no need to fear. And it also means that we have no need to fear our own dark spaces. Because one of the reasons why we attract sometimes things, people can say, well, we're being too open or whatnot, yada, yada, yada. But one of the things and reasons why we attract even entities and different things into our space, whether it's toxic people, relationships, whatever it is, whatever is sucking you dry, we do have a piece, again, that comes back to us. And I like to use the analogy of Velcro, right? We're giving the Velcro something to stick to within our own being. And so what I kind of want to reframe is, what are those dark spaces within you? What are those dark spaces within your being that you are hiding, that you maybe are perhaps too afraid to look at? Because here's the thing. We can mantra the heck out of love and light and love and light and love and light. And the more people I have in the realm, the more people who are insistent that they're all about the love and light, the more I see their fears of their own darkness. And so this is the thing. We're transparent, guys. We can't hold this stuff. This is one of the kind of, I guess, the magical gifts that I have with the work that I do with embodiment is your body kind of gives you away. We can say, oh yeah, this is what I'm working from and I'm confident. We can see these things. We can, fake it till we make it, so to speak. But if the energy underlying that is not true, there's a discordance happening. There's a dissonance happening with our own energy being. This is why we sometimes don't manifest the things that we're trying to manifest, or we manifest things that we don't really want, the opposite of what we do want. It's not necessarily because we're focusing on the negative. It's that this energy of fear, of negativity, we're trying to push it away and avoid it, so much so that we're actually giving it more power. And it's not about getting rid of it, because it's also not garbage. So your shadow self, and I think we know this on an intellectual level, but we need to start embodying this on a whole systems level. Because that's what healing is. Healing is coming into wholeness. And we cannot come into wholeness if we are ranting and on and on and on about being love and light only. Because guess what? Your darkness is a part of your being. It is a part of your love being as well. You know, we can think about our darkness as that inner child that has been hurt, the story of suffering that we might have carried for generations through our familial lineage. It can be the traumas from past lives. These are things that we carry, perhaps things that we have done in our life now, or past lives, or within our family history that we are not proud of. Wrongs that were done to us and that we did to others. This happens with every human soul. We have done things that we regret, whether we're consciously aware of them or not. And so it is important to start to become more courageous around playing with the darkness. I think part of the reason why we avoid it and we fear it is that we're going to be swallowed whole by it. Because if you've ever experienced, for example, depression, there can be this fear of reoccurrence, of going down into the deep, deep, dark hole. But the interesting thing is that the more we fear that dark place, the deeper it gets, the bigger the hole is, and the harder it is to crawl out. And so by actually shining a light to what's actually there in those dark spaces, we can actually start to witness those pieces from a resource place, from a love-based place. And this is going to require us to have a solid foundation. So this is something that if you have been a client of mine, if you've worked with me, you know I talk all about being safe in our bodies and being safe in our being, because this is the foundation for having the capacity to, you know, walk to the edge of that hole and start to kind of like peer in, have the awareness and capacity, because we have to come from a whole place. I use this analogy often. I haven't talked about it for a while, but it's kind of like, you know, when we talk about fear and overcoming our fears, we're like battling this thing from this huge battleship that's sinking. And so this is what I'm talking about for resources, is we need to build the boat. We need to restructure the ship. We need to have a place and space of real landing. And then maybe we'll realize that we actually don't need to battle. It's not about the battle. We're only battling because the ship's going down. And so we're kind of freaking out on all levels. So two things, actually three things. So one is just check yourself. This is a little check-in, particularly if you've been overly, I'm not saying it's bad to focus on love and light. It's wonderful. It's a practice that I engage in every morning when I do my meditation and I come into my Akashic records, which are a space of love, pure, pure, pure energetic love. It's beautiful and unconditional. That's the space that can hold those spaces of healing and darkness as well that might come up. So I'm not saying, you know, don't be the light, but what I am saying is check yourself, because if you're all about the love and light, is it coming from an integrated place? Is it coming from an integral place? Or are you faking it till you're making it, right? Because we can say that this is where we're going, but at the same time, if we're avoiding the shadow pieces, we're not going to get anywhere. It's going to keep us stuck. It's going to keep us in this loop of being frozen, essentially. So that's the first space. Just take an internal and honest check in and just notice, and please do not judge yourself. Please try to relax a little bit that judgy voice that's like, you should be here and you should be there, and the shoulds and the coulds and the woulds. Just check into taking stock of, where am I at right now? And just let that be okay. Just let that be okay. Let it be okay if you are in the dark hole with no light. Let it be an okay place to be. That does not mean you have to live there forever. But if we don't acknowledge where we are, we can't move forward. We become paralyzed, immobile, and stuck in a loop, right? We get stuck in the shame spiral of it. So just acknowledging, where are you in this space? Where are the spaces? And I'm not saying you have to go dive into all the dark spaces, just acknowledging and being okay that they're there. The second thing I wanted to offer is to reframe this aspect of darkness. The image that came through a couple days ago when I was channeling this and wrote this down is the darkness of the womb. So we all came from deep down within the belly of our maternal mother, as well as we think about the deep, dark belly of the earth. So when we plant a seed, the cocoon, the chrysalis, is a dark space that really dissolves everything. It dissolves all matter. If you think about the seed, completely has to explode essentially in order to emerge into the light. And so what we carry are these seeds into the darkness in order to be able to grow. So the darkness can actually be a space for huge healing and growth. So I think this is a really important reframe in terms of starting to partner with our own dark spaces from a place of resource and a place of loving kindness. And I cannot remember what the third thing is. So maybe there's only two things. So those are the two things I just wanted to share with you. I just wanted to check in. Again, check in with yourself. If somebody says, dark or blah, 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 and you kind of have this little inner twinge, notice that. This is a really key component to our aspects of spiritual bypassing, which, by the way, we all do. All of us. So if you're in denial about that, check yourself, because you do that. I know you do. I do. We all do. Anyway, the third piece that doesn't have to do with this, I realize now I said that I had a little announcement about tomorrow. So Saturday, as you all know, hello, Sheila. Saturdays, you all know, I go live. And so tomorrow, I'm going to talk a little bit about a few, kind of actually some of the elements that I've been talking about for the last couple weeks. So we're going to talk about power. We're going to talk about decision making, kind of why we don't really follow that inner voice, and how we can actually be a little bit more use a little bit more intention. I just had a button come up on my phone there. So how we can use a little bit more intention with our decision-making process. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow, and it's kind of weaving in some of the themes and concepts we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. So really, this is really doing a lot of healing with personal power and reframing power. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about decision making. We're going to talk about intuition and why we don't listen to our intuition and how we can connect to that more deeply. And the other thing I just wanted to remind you is I have a little announcement for tomorrow. For those of you who don't know, October is the month that I was born. I'm a Libra, and I wanted to do something special. Also accumulating this month is this sort of expansion of my programs and offerings. So things have kind of exploded in this beautiful way, and I wanted to share with you what those things are and how they're going to come into fruition. So I wanted to invite you, join me tomorrow. I have some beautiful things to share with you. I have some announcements, and I think that is everything for right now. Anyway, If you are watching this in the replay, again, please say hello. Let me know how this landed. I'm trying to think. Let's do a little bit of a game. So if this landed for you, particularly in the realm of, avoiding darkness, perhaps you've had some fear or trepidation of kind of going into the sticky stuff in your own life, just drop your favorite GIF in the comment section to describe what darkness is to you. Embracing the dark. Yeah. So drop a comment, a sticker, or a GIF that to you is like a great symbol for what those dark spaces are. I want to know what the visual, sometimes I think the visual representation can be really powerful. So take a few moments, drop into yourself, drop into some fun Facebook silliness, and drop a GIF of what is that darkness for you? What is that piece for you? How does it describe like what your relationship with that has been? Has it been welcoming, or have you kind of been like, oh my God? So I'm gonna do that as well when I end this video. I'll drop you guys a little GIF about my journey through darkness, and I invite you to play. So anyway, I'll see you tomorrow at noon. Lots of love to all of you. Mwah! And oh yes, I forgot, 12 Pacific time tomorrow is the live, and I will be here on my personal page. Eventually I will share the replay into my group. So if you are there, and if you can't catch me live, you can find the replay in the group or on my page. Okay, see you everyone. Mwah! Happy Friday. Ciao.